Ain't nobody messing with my queens, listen up. You ain't gotta love me, cause I love me. Put a hand up if you in the trenches building confidence, and put a hand up if you need some mending for your heart that's healing. Salute, say you in attendance, this army's relentless. A weekly dose of motivation, give me your attention. This is for all the queens going heal by any means. They chasing our self-esteem, it's not as hard as it seems. Go, go, go queen, go. Ain't nobody messing with my queens, listen up.
Welcome to the All Queens Army podcast. It's your girl, your host, Coach Breezy. I am here today with another dope episode for the queens. Yes! Honey, I'm super excited on this dope motivational Monday. I can't wait to get into today's topic because you queens are going to love it. It is something that is super very personal for me and something that I get questions about frequently, okay? So today we're going to talk about how to deal with people who won't take accountability, okay? This one is so near and dear to my heart. I could not wait to record this episode. I couldn't wait because there is a person in my life who I love very dearly who has such a hard time taking accountability. And every time I talk to her, child, I just shake my head, be like, child, girl, you wearing me out, okay? So this episode is very personal for me, okay? And me giving some tips and some suggestions on how to deal with people who just will not take accountability to save their life, child. Woo, honey. They be wearing us out, ladies. I know y'all got some of them in your life too. That's why y'all listening this morning. But really quick, I want to just ask you guys to make sure you go to the website and subscribe to All Queens Army. You can also do it from the link in my bio on Instagram if you follow us there at All Queens Army. So I just wanted to say that it's super duper important, y'all. Let me tell you why. Because in season 4, I'm going to be dropping some exclusive podcast episodes and some exclusive content, and only people who are subscribed are going to receive that content, guys. I'm not going to be publishing it publicly on the internet, okay? I'm not doing it. So if you want some of the exclusive content, you have to subscribe. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and get into today's topic because that's what you came here for. So we're going to be talking about how to deal with people who won't take accountability. Now, like I said, y'all, this one is near and dear to my heart. It is very personal for me. So I'm going to apologize ahead of time if I get super passionate on this one. And y'all know when I say I'm getting super passionate, that probably means I'm going to be dropping a couple curse words, okay? Because y'all know your girl gets passionate and I drop a couple expletives sometimes because, you know, that's just who I am and this is my platform and that's just what I do, okay? But anyway, dealing with people who won't take accountability is so frustrating, and that's why I get so passionate about it, because it's like the most fucking annoying thing. So here's how you'll know if you're dealing with someone in your life who won't take accountability. Here's a couple of characteristics. First one is that they victimize themselves. And this is what I mean, y'all. This is why it's so goddamn frustrating, okay? Literally, they see themselves as the victim in all situations all the time. Everything that you bring up to them, everything that you talk about, every topic, every scenario, every life circumstance, child, they are the goddamn victim. It's so annoying, right? Like, oh my gosh. So if you know someone who's always the victim, they always feel like you're attacking them. They always feel like everybody's ganging up on them. You always feel like you can't never say nothing because they get all bent out of shape about it. Yes, baby. That is a person who is not willing to take accountability, okay? Another characteristic is someone who always makes you out to be in the wrong when you're having a discussion. Like if there's a problem and you're discussing something with that person, they literally don't see anything wrong with what they did. Like everything is your fault or everything is someone else's fault. So if you guys go through a situation, you did 10 things, they did 10 things. All of the 10 things that you did was wrong, but like not one of their 10 things was wrong. Okay. So literally they are people who will make you out to be the wrong one in everything. You're always wrong. Everyone else is always wrong. Everything that happened is wrong. And everything they did was fine and perfect. Okay. So that's another characteristic. Another sign of a person who just won't take accountability is someone who lacks integrity. Integrity is a big thing. As a matter of fact, integrity is something that I struggled with years ago. Now, y'all know that I'm super transparent and have no problems telling y'all what my flaws are, my issues are, because I do not try to pretend to be perfect, baby. I'm not perfect, okay? I am a flawed queen. And what integrity means is that you're being authentic in who you are in front of people and behind people's backs. So behind closed doors, you are the same person that you are in front of people. You don't try to pretend to be something that you're not. not. You don't try to trick people into thinking that you're a certain way or that you're a certain type of person or that you have certain personality characteristics. It literally just means that you're transparent and you're honest and you're authentic in who you are all the time, whether people can see you or not see you. Who you are and what you stand on and who you say you are consistent across the board, whether people can tell that you're doing it or not tell that you're doing it, okay? That's what integrity is. So in dealing with someone who doesn't take accountability, what I saw in observing their behavior is that they lack the ability to have integrity, meaning they portray a certain attitude or a certain way of being or a certain personality in front of you, but really behind closed doors, that's not who they are. And that's a sign of a person who just won't take accountability, okay? So here's another characteristic of someone who won't take accountability. They get defensive. Oh, child. If you guys have ever talked to someone who doesn't take accountability, you know exactly what I mean. They get super duper defensive, okay? So if you try to approach them about something they did or something they could do differently or something they can do better, baby, they'll give you every reason in the book why it happened. They'll give you every excuse in the book of why it happened. They're trying to explain you down to the hills, child. It's almost like they go on this campaign to explain why they did what they did, but never really owning that they did it. And that's what defensive is. It's like you're trying to deflect the that you did it with the why you did it, okay? And accountability is accepting the fact that you did it. So what happens is they skip over the whole conversation about, yeah, I did it. They skip over that and go right into the explanation of trying to convince you that what they did was okay, instead of just owning it, because I'm telling you that it's not okay, right? Like, it's so crazy. Okay, I don't want to go off topic. All right. Here's another characteristic of someone who won't take accountability. They completely lack self-awareness. People who don't take accountability do not see themselves the way everyone else is seeing them. They see some fantasy, idealized version of themselves that's not real, hence the lack of integrity that I just talked about. But that's what they see. That's how they perceive themselves, while everyone else on the outside of them is dealing with their real personality, like the reality, what's really going on. But they don't even really see or understand what's really going on. All they experience is the fantasy of who they are that they've made up in their minds. And so that's a lack of self-awareness, right? When people lack the awareness of who they really are, so they think that everyone else is attacking them and everyone else is trying to cut them down and blah, blah, blah. And that's that whole victim mentality. Everyone is beating me up. Everyone is trying to chop me down. Everybody is attacking me. And they feel that way because everyone is telling them that they see a certain set of characteristics and a certain behavior pattern, but because they have no self-awareness and they believe that they are this fantasized version of themselves, they have no idea of who they really are. They're not aware. And that's what makes talking to people who take no accountability so frustrating, because they're not dealing with the realities of who they truly are. They're dealing with their own version of their reality, which isn't real. I know that might sound a little complicated, but stay with me, okay? So here's the bottom line, though. Here's the bottom line in dealing with people who lack accountability. You can never hold someone accountable who is unwilling to actually be accountable. That's what I learned. You just can't do it. It doesn't matter how much time you invest in talking to them, how much time you invest in trying to explain yourself. Trust me, if a person is not at a place where they're willing to start seeing themselves the way you see them, or taking any accountability for what you're telling them is happening, or what you're telling them they're doing, or what you're telling them needs improvement, if they're unwilling, just completely unwilling, you cannot hold people accountable, okay? And I wanted to say that because I hear that term a lot. I hear people say, oh, you have to hold other people accountable. You can't hold other people accountable. I'm gonna go into that a little bit more in a second, but I just wanted to throw that out there, okay? Because I hear that all the time and I think it's a little bit of a misconception, okay? So remember, Queens, I told you that one of the people who I hold near and dear to me that I love so much in my personal life is a person who lacks the ability to be accountable. And I want to tell you guys how I deal with that person, how I tolerate their behavior, and then give you guys some tips and some suggestions on what you can do if you have some people in your life who lack accountability, okay? So for me, I have learned to detach myself and my expectations from the person in my life who doesn't take accountability. And what that means is I've learned that that's their limitation. They are not capable of seeing anything about themselves in certain areas of their life, okay? They're just not capable. So in that one little area of our relationship, I don't engage with them. And that area of our relationship is an area in which that person feels like I do not engage with her enough. I don't talk to her enough. I don't call her enough. I don't show her enough love. I don't give her any of my attention. I kind of put her on the back burner, so on and so forth. That's her perception of something that's going on in our relationship, okay? Now, the way I personally feel about it is I do reach out to her. I do attempt to talk to her. I do try to spend time with her, but she doesn't reciprocate it back to me. So every time she would come to me and she would make this complaint and she would tell me that, I'm not spending enough time with her. Her feelings are hurt. I'm doing this to her and I'm doing that to her. Remember the victim mentality. I would get so confused because in my mind, I would be thinking to myself like, sis, I literally called you like every week for the past like 6 months. I'm the one who calls you. Like, you never call me and you've never called me. Now for me, I don't care because I don't play that game of you call me, but I didn't call you. I don't play that game of who called who first or who called who last. I'm too old for that. If I want to talk to you, I pick up the phone and I call. And if you don't answer and I think about you again next week, I'm going to pick up the phone and call. Like, I'm just not the type of person who keeps score of who called who last and like, oh girl, I called her twice and she ain't called me back, so I ain't calling her no more. That's not me. I'm too old for that. I don't do that. If I love you and I want to talk to you and I haven't talked to you and even if I called you the last 20 times when we talk, I'm a call. Like, I don't care about that. Okay. So anyway, back to the story. So when she talks to me about her feeling like I'm kind of like neglecting her, I don't spend enough time, I don't give her enough attention, it's just confusing because in my opinion, I'm looking back on facts and I'm saying, but sis, like literally for the past 6 months, I've actually been the one that called you. Like, you haven't called me one time. So how do you feel neglected? How do you feel like I'm ignoring you? How do you feel like I'm not talking to you when really it's the other way around? And so what I would do in those situations, every time she would bring it to my attention, I would attempt to get her to see that what she's saying is not true and that I'm actually the one that's called. So I would attempt to do that. And what I noticed is I kept bumping up against her lack of accountability. Like, she literally would just be like, that's not true. I did call you. I called you on this day at this time. And I'd be like, girl, you called me one time over 6 months and you saying that I don't call you and I done called you 25 times. That's the type of stuff that would happen. And those are the conversations. And when you're dealing with someone who won't take accountability and sees themselves as a victim, you wind up just going around in a circle. You're not getting anywhere. You're not resolving anything because they aren't willing to own any part of the problem. So in other words, when this person was telling me what the problem was, which was that she felt like I was neglecting her and I wasn't giving her attention, I wasn't calling, and I even owned it. I apologized. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make you feel that way. My bad. I do feel like I call you, but I'll try to call you more. See, that's taking accountability. I don't have a problem taking accountability, right? If someone I love tells me that I'm not giving them enough, I can own that and say, okay, I'll make an effort. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to combat it and become defensive and fight you on it. Your feelings are your feelings. Your thoughts are your thoughts. If that's how you feel, it's how you feel. I can own that and I can work on that because I love you. But when it came to me sharing my perspective on what was going on the lack of calls, with me saying, well, you're saying that I don't call you. You're saying that I don't reach out to you. You're saying that I don't visit you. But my recollection is that you haven't called me once in months. Okay. And I've called you like once a week. The only reason we talk is because I call you. You never call me. Right? So when I tried to explain that side of it, I was met with nothing but resistance. I was met with victimization. I was met with, oh, you trying to make me look like the bad guy that I told you guys about. I was met with defensiveness. There was zero. And even to this day, because we still have this conversation like once a year, right? Even to this day, when we have this conversation, this person will not take any accountability for where our relationship is. This person will not take any accountability. She owns zero parts of how frequently or infrequently we talk, or how frequently or infrequently we hang out together. She takes zero accountability. It's all my fault. It's all me. So the way that I've learned how to deal with this person is just in that one area of our relationship. I just don't go there. I don't even touch it. So now when she brings it up, when she talks about it, I'll make one attempt to give her my side of the story, my perception, my perspective. And if she gets defensive or she goes into that victim mode, I'm done with the conversation and I'm not discussing it anymore. And this is how I feel about it. However you feel in that regard of our relationship is how you feel. If you feel like we don't spend enough time together, at this point, that's your problem. If you feel like I don't call you enough, if you feel like we don't speak to each other enough, at this point, that's your problem. Because I have personal boundaries and that bumps up against my boundary. When people are requiring more from me than what they're willing to give to me, that's a personal boundary for me. And you guys know, I don't let people cross my personal boundaries. So I'm willing to continue to call this person, to talk to this person, to hang out with this person because I love her dearly. And all of the other areas of our relationship are great. It's just this one complaint that she has. And as so frustrating because I'm like, girl, you telling me that I'm not calling, but it's really you, right? That projecting thing, okay? So that's how I deal with it. That's how I deal with a person who lacks the ability to be accountable for their own actions or lacks the ability to be accountable for how they feel, because her feelings of neglect really have nothing to do with me. Her feelings of neglect are because she does not make an effort to reach out, to call, or to visit me. That's the real issue, okay? But she tries to project it onto me and make me out to be the bad guy, make me out to be the person that's in the wrong, when really I'm the only reason that we still talk and that we do still see each other, because I'm the one that's making all the effort. So that's how I deal with that person. I just don't even engage in that part of the conversation. Like, I will not allow it to get me into an argument because I already know that she's not willing to take any accountability. And on top of that, I will not make any efforts and I will not go any further to try to make her feel like she's not being neglected. I just won't do it because I'm already doing my part and she's not doing her part. So I'm not going to do her part and my part. And I'm not going to take ownership for something that she's created, okay? I don't let people project and push their issues onto me. And that's how I deal with the person in my life who doesn't take accountability. I utilize my personal boundaries and say, this is what I'm not going to do. And when the person complains about what I'm not doing, I don't engage in the argument. Pretty much, I feel like, well, you need to fix it then. It's your issue. Now, I'm willing to work on it with you. I'm willing to fix it with you if you are a willing participant. But if you're putting all of the onus on me, if I'm the only one who's doing something wrong and I'm the only one who needs to fix it, then I'm not participating. And that's just the bottom line. So that's just personally how I deal with that situation. So I just wanted to share that story with you, queens, because I opened it up and I started talking about it and I wanted to tell you guys exactly how it impacts my life and what I do about it. So I want to give you guys a really quick tip on how to know whether or not the person that you're dealing with who lacks accountability, like whether or not you can actually try to work with them, right? Like whether or not you can find a way to work with them. So here's one of the things that you need to look out for, okay? If that person gives you any indication that they are willing to work on their blind spot, because remember, a lack of accountability is a blind spot. Remember, I told you they lack self-awareness. If a person gives you any indication that they're willing to work on the blind spot, right? Like if they even say, you know what, maybe I do, any indication that they're willing to work on the blind spot, or any indication that they actually acknowledge that maybe they have a blind spot. If that person makes any indication in that realm, I really think that that's a person that you could work with. I really do. Now, whether you choose to work with that person or not, or whether you choose to tolerate their lack of accountability or not, is totally up to you, because it all depends on the importance of that relationship or the importance that that person holds in your life. Like if it's your mom or dad, or like somebody that you just love very closely, like let's say it's a sibling, a sister or brother, your niece, nephew, your daughter, your cousin, something like that. If it's a person that you just hold near and dear to you, you may be willing to have a little bit more tolerance and learn how to work with a person if they show some willingness to work on their blind spot, okay? However, if this person does not hold enough importance in your life, right? Like if that relationship is just not that important in your life, like you don't really give that much of a shit about whether or not you have a relationship with that person and they're not willing to work on it, then I would say, then chuck them the deuces, y'all. Okay? You don't have to sit around and deal with that type of behavior. If you don't want to completely cut them off, then just put some distance between you and them. Now, when I was a little bit younger, I used to cut people off all the time, like cutting people off, not talking to them anymore, getting rid of them. That was like my go-to response, my go-to answer for things that people did that I didn't like. Now that I've matured a lot more, I don't go straight to cutting people off when I find characteristics or problems or issues that they have that are annoying to me, or even things that might take a toll on my well-being. I don't necessarily always just cut the people off. Most of the time, what I do is I distance myself from them. There's only so much time that I'm willing to spend in their presence. There's only certain conversations that I'm willing to have. Like I don't talk to them about certain things. I don't engage with them in certain conversations. I don't engage with them in certain jokes or certain behaviors and things like that. I really have learned how to disconnect and detach certain parts of myself from people, so I don't have to just completely cut them off. Now, before I knew how to do that, cutting people off was just the way I handled it, period, okay? But I'll leave that up to you guys. There's no judgment here. You got to do what you got to do. If someone is disturbing your peace and they're not that important to you, chuck their ass to deuces. Let them go. Get them out of here, okay? Now, here's what you do not want to do. This is absolutely 100% uncompromisable, okay? You do not just tolerate people's bad behavior and sweep shit under the rug just because you love them, or just because it's my mom, or just because it's my dad, or just because it's my child. You do not sweep bad behavior under the rug. We don't do that, okay? We will address people and step up and stand up to them and attempt to hold them accountable. That is absolutely what you do. You do not let people push their shit onto you, okay? So when I say you guys have to make assessments for yourself about how important that relationship is and what you want to tolerate and not tolerate and whether or not you want to cut the person off or maybe just distance yourself, you notice that I did not say the other option is to just let people not be accountable and tolerate their bullshit. That's not an option, period. It's not, okay? I'm not even going to say anything else because it's a period at the end of that sentence. That is not an option. We do not just tolerate people's bad behavior. We do not just sweep shit under the rug just because we love someone. I don't care who it is. Parents, kids, best friends, husbands, wives, I don't give a shit. You don't sweep bad behavior under the rug and not do anything about it. You have to do something about it, okay? You have to make a decision of how you're going to deal with it, okay? All right, so that is all for today's episode, queens. I hope you enjoyed today's topic. I hope you got something from it. I hope that you take everything that I say with love. And you know what, y'all? I'm super proud of myself for not saying a whole bunch of curse words today. As passionate as I was about this topic, I literally said 3 curse words? 4, 5, 10? I don't know. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's topic. Remember to follow the All Queens Army on Instagram and also make sure that you subscribe to the All Queens Army podcast. I be having a whole bunch of stuff for y'all to do, but I hope y'all be doing it, okay? All right, y'all. I love y'all so much. I thank you guys so much for rocking with your girl, for staying with me, for continuing to help All Queens Army grow. Please share the podcast. Please share the All Queens Army platform, period, with any other queens out there that you think would benefit from some of the information and the content that we share. I love you guys so much. I hope you have an amazing Monday, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.